The Pixel Empire podcast is sponsored by Audible.com, the internet's leading source for audiobooks. Audible is offering the listeners of the Pixel Empire podcast a free 30-day trial of their service. For those interested in the dissection of music, there are dozens of options, including Anatomy of a Song by Mark Myers. All you have to do is go to the link below in our Twitch panels and YouTube description and sign up for your free account. You can cancel at any time. Additionally, the Pixel Empire podcast has been lucky enough to receive a sponsorship from ImageLine, the geniuses behind FL Studio. We have a copy of FL Studio 20 Producer's Edition to give away. The link is below in our panels and YouTube description, and no purchase is necessary to enter. All you have to do is follow the Pixel Empire podcast Twitch and Twitter. The giveaway runs until September 17th. Please make sure you are legally eligible to participate in your country. As always, we thank these companies for generously sponsoring us and our viewers for supporting what we do.
Hello, and welcome to episode 7 of the Pixel Empire podcast. We're your hosts, Noah
and Chris,
here to introduce today's show. Thanks for tuning in with us. The podcast goes live every other week on Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific, and 7 p.m. GMT.
Thanks to Killian and Alexa for organizing, credit to Yuki for the animations, Major for the overlay, Dossy for the jingles, Avalon for the intro design, Skeptic for graphic design, and everyone else's support in making this happen, and the Reddit Median community. By the way, merch. We have merch. We've got pocket producers, we've got Pixel Empire podcast, shirts, and whatever else you can think of. Madian and his team will be getting some shirts, and so will Porter, so if you want to be like them, you know what to do.
So for those of you that don't know, Virtual Self is the side project of Porter Robinson, where he kind of plays on some influences from like his past. So like 90s rhythm games, like early 2000s, and some other like arcade games. And a lot of the visual style really pulls from those as well. And there's some, of course, knowing Porter, there's some anime in there too. But it's just like a good mix of like some of the foundations of his like creativity and just inspiration from over the years.
The Virtual Self project is built around these two characters, Technic Angel and Path Selector. Technic Angel creating music with a darker and heavier tone, songs such as Eon Break and Particle Arts. Path Selector having a more uplifting style with songs such as Ghost Voices and Angel.
The Virtual Self live show starts out with Path Selector with a bit more of a chill tone, but I mean, it's still a party. And then as the set progresses, it eventually kicks another Technic Angel section, aka Part 2, the infamous Part 2, where the rave gets turned up to 11 and the BPM gets turned up to 170 plus.
Recently, a website called angelangelangelangel.com popped up on the Virtual Self Twitter account. The website shows a distorted video, and clicking takes you through a series of equally strange websites telling a story and further expanding the Virtual Self universe.
Eventually, clicking around enough takes you to a page with login information, which when you go to virtualself.life, a website that was also created for the Virtual Self project, you are presented with a series of private messages between Path Selector and Technic Angel describing the creation process behind Angel Voices, also known as the Technic Angel remix of Ghost Voices. The original version of Angel Voices, known at the time as just Ghost Voices Technic Angel Remix, premiered at Electric Daisy Carnival in Las Vegas, where Technic Angel played it, asking the crowd if they knew the song Ghost Voices. It was played again a few more times at festivals including Bonnaroo, before the official name and release date were found.
The first Virtual Self live show was meant to be hosted in a Brooklyn warehouse, but had to be moved to a larger venue to accommodate for the huge platform.
Almost all further shows have featured this platform as a prominent set piece, with the exception of some shows which are usually denoted as club system shows and are held in more intimate venues with more minimal production and usually a very low capacity. The one thing that both the big sets and the small sets seem to have in common is the edits. Porter really likes to make these really special edits of a lot of songs that he's picked out for the Virtual Self show. He just kind of adds like new elements to them and makes them his own in a way. And I think that's probably one of the most interesting facets of this tour so far. It's just been hearing like all the different like changes he's made to songs to make them fit for his like vision of Virtual Self better. And then there's the edits that have kind of developed a life of their own within the fan base, like Titanic and Ayla and Duvet, that have just been like really, really, really hyped up and enjoyed by a lot of the people that have went to the live shows or watched them on YouTube even. And those songs, I think, will live on, like, just the memories of those songs, I think, will live on just as long as the tour itself. And I think some of even like the Virtual Self, like his own original tracks, well, him as in Porter, as Virtual Self, I think some of those tracks even like take on like a different feeling a little bit in the live environment. Like I remember when I first heard the Virtual Self EP, I thought Angel was like I wasn't the biggest fan of Angel at the time, but when I heard it in a live setting, it really made a difference because like just something about like the bass to it and just like the crowd environment of everybody else getting to it made that song feel a lot different to me than before I went to see it in person. It really gave me kind of a new appreciation, I think, for Angel. And then of course Ghost Voice is always fun, especially in a crowd where the whole crowd's getting hyped up to it. I really think stuff like that makes the songs like it really just gives them a new feel almost. I don't really know how to describe that best, but I definitely felt it.
I missed out on Virtual Self live in London, but I can relate to that with Shelter, where there were some songs which I'd heard like in the YouTube recordings of it, and I thought, you know, they're okay. Like Divinity in Technicolor. Love that now. After seeing it live, that's now my favorite. Whereas before actually seeing it live, it wasn't that impressive to me. So although I can't relate to the Virtual Self Angel,
right,
can relate to that feeling of having a track that doesn't bring you in, and then see it live and it gives it a whole new life.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I really love the Virtual Self aesthetic. This like take on the early 2000s idea of the future. This like cyberpunk, almost cyberpunk-esque kind of setting, and you get that with the Ghost Voices video. You've got like these TV screens and monitors that are all like jumbled about, wires everywhere. I love that.
It's like an abandoned Best Buy.
Yeah. They've got this cyberpunk, that Mark Chang thing, very cyberpunk, very neo-noir kind of thing going on. And I really love that about it. And I kind of wish they'd use that more, because it's a little bit like they're going for more of that like 2000s DDR thing, and I really love like Cyberpunk 2077. Can't wait for that, because love that aesthetic, that style.
Right.
And in the Mark Chang renders, you've got what looks like something that they might have been going for along the way, but that's kind of another, like a separate thing from the actual live shows and the music.
Yeah, I definitely get that vibe.
And I feel like they've put it to the side, whereas they probably didn't have to. It fits really well. I really like the aesthetic. I like the style. And I think it would fit perfectly with Virtual Self. They'd embraced it a little bit more.
Yeah, I think that's a really good example of just how much like meticulous thought Porter's put into this whole project. Like, it's really easy to kind of say, oh, it's a side project, and then like there's like a stigma that side projects aren't really like invested in.
Absolutely.
But I really think that Porter really put a lot of energy into this. And honestly, it's really given me kind of an appreciation and a little bit of a nostalgia for something I didn't really ever experience in the first place. It's kind of weird to think of it that way, but like, just like I can almost feel like the way he feels about this, like the material that he's drawing the inspiration from. Like he just puts so much of that emotion into the work that like I can almost relate to it.
I love that there was so much detail that everybody thought that there was like secrets behind it. Like,
yeah,
everyone was getting involved in this RNG that didn't exist.
Yeah,
that's such a cool...
The amount of effort he went to just to make it seem like it had further meaning is just like ridiculous. Like I can't think of many other artists that go to that level of detail for a side project of all things. But like this really isn't a side project per standard definition. It really is more of a really invested personal project.
It is an alias. It's a second project. It's not a side project. It's its own thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think even though the term side project is technically right, I still think it does almost a disservice to the whole thing.
And I want to talk about the future of Virtual Self and where it's going, because on the website, you've got these spaces for songs that haven't yet been released. And it would make sense that those unknown spaces are future releases. As when Angel Voices came out, it filled in the gap, filled in one of the spaces that was left on the site.
Yeah, I was skeptical at first too when the website first came up. I really thought those extra gaps were just kind of there to make it feel complete. But then, like now that of course Angel Voices has been added in as one of the gaps that was left blank, I'm really starting to lean towards the idea that maybe there's more to it than that.
And at the start of the project, there was those tweets from the Pass Selector and Technic Angel accounts that had teasers for what seemed like upcoming songs. Not sure if they actually are, but I'd love to hear those developed into full, like 3-minute, 4-minute tracks.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I really, of course, I think we all really would like to hear some more new music from Porter's brain. So I definitely would like to hear some of those concepts. Even just a little tiny teasers. I would love to hear some, like just maybe even just one of them.
Absolutely.
Just as a full product. Yeah. And I don't know if they'll be live debuts first, kind of like you did with Angel Voices, or if they would be more of like a traditional release first and then tour. So I don't really know, but maybe we'll hear some more stuff over the course of the Utopia System tour.
Fingers crossed. Recently, the artist that created the Pass Selector and Technic Angel characters for the Virtual Self project uploaded some images of a cyberpunk city, some computer-generated renders of a city with a building that has a Virtual Self logo holographically projected from just above the door, which some have speculated to potentially lead to a new music video or a new song entirely, which would be very exciting to see.
We also found another picture that he posted showing Technic Angel without their mask, which is really kind of weird because that's not something we normally see, because in like all the promotional images and stuff, Technic Angel has always worn a mask. It's kind of a unique image, honestly. I'm not really sure if it means anything, but knowing Porter, he's pretty deliberate, so maybe.
I think the deliberate sort of nature of the Virtual Self project and Porter as a person, as an artist, makes you think that it has a greater meaning.
One of the other really crazy elements that's popped up throughout the whole Virtual Self promotional cycle and release cycle and now tour cycle has been like these like really ARG alternate reality game inspired puzzles. Like it started out like one of the earlier ones was Virtual Self posted a phone number just randomly and then deleted it after like 5 minutes. And if you called that phone number, it played this really cryptic message that was really hard to understand, and then some like random music. It's not released at all, so it was never really figured out like what the music was, but it definitely sounds something very in vain of like what Path Selector would release, which was really fascinating. And then there were other videos that were found, like when Eon Break first came out. There were some other videos with like teaser sounds in them. And then somehow through messaging the Facebook profile for Virtual Self, some people were able to get a SoundCloud link for like an unreleased demo. It was very short, but it had some unreleased sound. And then it didn't just stop there in the really early cycle. Of course, we already mentioned the Angel site. And then there's been little Easter eggs all throughout different websites, like the Virtual Self Utopia System Tour website. Right before Angel Voices came out, if you swiped up and down really, really fast on your phone, it would play like a 5-second clip of Angel Voices before we even knew it was getting released. And just little teasers and stuff like that. It's just been really fascinating. It kind of reminds me of some of the Mattian clues that he's left throughout albums, like putting Morse code at the end of songs, just stuff like that. Has been like, it kind of makes sense considering the synergy they both have, that they both kind of have like that interest in little tiny details. But it's really fascinating to see how it works out in practice.
And right from the start, there was this Virtual Self forum where there's thousands upon thousands of posts and threads and accounts with messages that were cryptic, using the language that was very integral to the Virtual Self style. Like these kind of nonsense, these kind of nonsensical but existential questions. And within the forum, you'd find coordinates, which turned out to be the coordinates of actual venues the Virtual Self would be playing at.
I just it's kind of fascinating to me how it manages to be both like ethereal, but then also at the same time really existential. Like what happens as the echo floats through you? Tears will create the voice of euphoria. Like stuff like that. It's just like, it's really weird how it like kind of mixes the dark with the light a little bit. But then again, that's the same, like the kind of yin and yang, I guess, of having like two sides of the same coin with Path Selector and Technic Angel. I think it's kind of the same like concept in a way. It kind of all ties together in a neat little bundle that is Virtual Self. Well, I think that about covers a lot of the more recent developments with Virtual Self, and also kind of gives a good description and maybe a bit of an overview of the project as a whole. So I hope that was really informative and that the listeners really enjoyed it. Do you have any final words, Chris?
I think that just about sums it up.
Thanks for listening, and now on to the Monday Mix by Celestiate.
Can't you see?